Welcome to Industry Cloud Conversations. On this show, we introduce to you industry leaders and Microsoft partners who are on the forefront of emerging technology solutions that transform the way we all do business. Today's episode is all about the transformation that can happen when we combine the power of Microsoft Cloud with our ISV partners who are leaders in their industry.
So I'm Sverre Brandsberg Dahl, one of the leaders in the Microsoft Cloud for Industry engineering team, and I'm here today to talk about how the Microsoft Cloud, combined with industry solutions offered by our partners, and today we're going to talk about one particular partner, SLB, is helping transform and power the energy transition. I'm very pleased to welcome Dr. Trygve Raden, SVP for Digital Products and Solutions in SLB. So welcome, Trygve. Happy to have you here with me today.
Thank you, Sverre. Looking forward to it.
Yes. So the two of us have been working together for quite some time now on this topic of how to help the industry digitally transform and also help you transform your sort of quite amazing portfolio of applications. And I think if you're new to the space of energy, I think you might be surprised that the energy companies and the energy or the service companies that are servicing the industry have been some of the forefront of high performance computing, 3D graphics and advanced graphics for decades. And it's really in the last 4 or 5 years that we're sort of seeing a convergence with the cloud.
No, thank you for that, Sverre. It's a very pertinent question these days, maybe more than it has ever been before. Of course, I think where everyone in society today realizes the challenges and we're all up against on energy. Nobody's questioning the need for energy, for clean energy and transitioning to clean energy. But that's a gigantic task that the world is up against. And SLB see ourselves playing a role in all the aspects of energy, from the energy security, which has been maybe over the last 18 months become even more relevant and more on top of everyone's agenda to supply the energy that the world actually do need. To transition the current energy production that we have to as clean as possible, to try to mitigate the CO2 emissions that we have from the fossil fuel parts of the energy supply chain, and that we can do with carbon storage. And also we see ourselves having a significant role to play in energy transition, from managing how you're going to be mitigating carbon emissions in any type of industries, to also playing a vital role in supplying clean energy solutions like geothermal, where we have been participating for years and are present in, I guess, over 70% of the geothermal projects in the world, to lithium extraction, hydrogen electrolysis, and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of activities going on across the entire energy chain. We need to minimize or contain the temperature rise. We need to get to net zero. Most people are agreeing to those ambitions. But reaching the stated goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise, global temperature rise, is actually most likely going to require us to not just get to net zero, but to get to negative, to mitigate the overruns we're otherwise going to be doing. And we can see our company participating, as I said, in all aspects of this transition. So a huge challenge, but also with that quite exciting technical challenges that we need to be addressing.
Yeah, no, it's a super impressive portfolio that you guys are bringing of technology. And I think, again, and I get you to talk a little bit about data in here, because you mentioned sort of various forms of energy and how we're mitigating the emissions. And I think you also see that this is very well aligned with Microsoft's goals. So we need partners like SLB to help us develop the technology and make markets where we can actually go and procure our own clean energy as our energy needs for the future. But we are a platform company. We've been working on data, bringing it back to that. So I think we'd like to hear your views around the role of data and how we are sort of making the data available.
We teamed up with Microsoft 2-3 years ago to jointly work to take this not just to an open source project, but into something that is industrialized and operational, that industry players can use with reliability and scalability at heart, if you like. And this has now culminated with the release of Microsoft Azure Data Manager for Energy, ADME, where we have been partnering closely with Microsoft and taking this out. And a major milestone, I would say, in achieving a unified data platform.
Yeah, it's great to hear. So thank you for those perspectives. I think, again, looking at our own investments here into the Azure Data Manager for Energy, that has really been about making a robust sort of enterprise-grade offering based on all of these ideas. And I think, for me, sort of questions is more if you can give us some tips or hints here in this, because for us, success comes from adoption of this technology and it's sort of users and how can we drive the adoption. I think that's something we see in Microsoft as well. It's always a very good leading indicator, and I'm not sure if you have any suggestions or appeals to sort of people for how to get going here with this new platform in place.
No, it's a very good question, Sverre, and clearly, I mean, why should a company adopt OSDU? Well, unless you're actually solving a business problem with it, you shouldn't. And that's where I think the key next step is. OSDU has never been a goal in its own right. OSDU has been an enabler for companies to achieve business goals, to achieve the promise of artificial intelligence that can dramatically improve certain tasks and improve the quality of decisions, which is probably more important than optimizing and reducing the time spent. It is to improve the quality of the decisions, because our industry is making billions of dollars type of decisions based on its data. So obviously, if we can make better use of that data, faster is good, but higher quality is important. So from our perspective, the interesting part of the journey really starts now that we have this data platform in place. We have been building software solutions, digital solutions that run against OSDU, that take the industry standard workflows as of today and make them available and make them run on top of OSDU. That is one of our commitments. That will make OSDU rich in data. That will make it integrated data across the life cycle. We're also working very actively, and so are many others, on providing AI-based solutions that can be extracting better insights than we traditionally have been looking at. And in addition to that, we also see the need for keeping the data estate clean, because a problem that every operator is struggling with is the quality of the data they have. Irrespective of what kind of data platform is applied, quality of data is a constant battle, because more data sources, more users contributing data into a data platform introduces risks of duplications, of outdated data, of incomplete, of erroneous data, and so on and so forth. So also providing the solutions to keep the data estate loaded with the latest data, but also cleaned up and high quality and quality assured is very important. And these are all opportunities that we see for doing our business on the top of a successful OSDU implementation, as in ADME.
So do you want to comment a bit on that comment, Trygve, like maybe like the data products as a, compared to just data? Because I think the industry has always had a lot of data, and it's sort of been dealing with the big data problem long before it became a buzzword that my parents are aware of even these days. I mean, you look at the seismic data and these things, that these are enormous data sets, and I think the industry has expertise here, but in the end, it's going to support a human decision or humans to make decisions. And I'm sort of starting to see this notion of data product being a quite good definition. So what are your thoughts around that?
Data products are absolutely fundamental to be understanding the value created from the data. Geologists need a set of data to be able to undertake a piece of geological study, building a model, for example. And the input data to that is more we consider a data product, and is something that we need to be working actively to enable through this Azure Data Manager for Energy and OSDU for that matter, to be supporting, so that experts can be provided the data that is relevant for them, not just a sea of infinite data that is difficult to navigate through. And a data platform is only successful if the right data products are being able to be provided to these industry experts.